The stars shined bright above Earth. Billions of them dotted the night sky. Among them, thousands of alien civilizations lived and worked together in what they called the Galactic Confederation. These alien species came from planets with perfect weather, low gravity, and no dangerous animals. Their worlds were safe and gentle. They had never known the harsh conditions that shaped life on Earth. For thousands of years, they explored space together. They found many planets with life, but most were like their own, peaceful and safe. The few dangerous planets they discovered were marked on star maps with warnings. They called these rare places Deathworlds. The Confederation avoided these planets, believing nothing intelligent could evolve in such terrible conditions. Earth remained unknown to them, hidden in a quiet corner of the galaxy. That changed when Captain Vrelk of the Zaxian science ship Stellar Gaze detected unusual radio signals coming from our solar system. "Interesting," Captain Vrelk said, his four eyes blinking at different rates as he studied the data. His thin, blue-skinned fingers tapped on the control panel. "Change course, let's investigate these signals." His first officer, Tazriel, looked worried. "Captain, we should report this to Confederation headquarters first. Protocol requires..." "Protocol would delay us by weeks," Vrelk interrupted. His skin flushed purple with excitement. "Think of the recognition if we discover a new species. I've been passed over for promotion 3 times. This could change everything." The Stellar Gaze changed direction and headed toward Earth. As they approached, the ship's sensors showed them something that made the entire crew gasp. "This can't be right," said Science Officer Pelmac, checking the readings again. "The gravity is 1.3 times Confederation standard. The atmospheric pressure is extreme. There are massive temperature variations from equator to poles. There are thousands of different predator species, and radiation levels from their sun would kill most Confederation species in days without protection." Captain Vrelk moved closer to the viewing screen, his thin lips forming what passed for a smile among his kind. "A death world. And yet, look." He pointed to the city lights visible on the night side of Earth. "Something intelligent lives there. This discovery will make my career. We should just report this and leave," First Officer Tazriel said. "Deathworld species are unpredictable and potentially dangerous." "Nonsense," Captain Vrelk replied. "We'll take a few specimens for study. Nothing that would violate Confederation law, just a quick examination, and we'll return them unharmed." Without waiting for further discussion, he ordered the ship to enter Earth's orbit under cover of night. The ship's cloaking technology made it invisible to Earth's primitive radar systems. In a small cabin in Montana, John Miller and his wife Samantha sat on their porch, enjoying the cool evening air. John had just started a 2-week vacation from Mayer, his job as a security consultant for a tech company. Samantha, a mechanical engineer, had finished a major project and joined him for a well-deserved break. "Look at those stars," John said, his arm around his wife's shoulders. "Makes you wonder what's out there, doesn't it?" Samantha nodded, taking a sip from her mug of hot chocolate. "Probably a lot of empty space and rocks, but I like to think there's someone looking back at us." "You and your sci-fi shows," John laughed, kissing the top of her head. Neither of them noticed the slight shimmer in the air above the nearby field, or the faint hum that was just below the range of human hearing. Inside the Stellar Gaze, Captain Vrelk prepared the abduction team. "Remember, use Class C restraints. According to our scans, these creatures are slightly stronger than Trilsians, but nothing we can't handle. The shock probes should keep them calm during transport." The team of 4 Zaxian scientists nodded, their thin frames looking fragile even in their protective suits. They had never encountered a Deathworld species before, but they trusted their technology and their captain. The transport beam took them directly to the cabin porch. John and Samantha had just enough time to stand up in surprise before the Zaxians fired their stun weapons. "Sam!" John shouted as he saw his wife collapse. He lunged toward the nearest alien figure before a blast hit him too, making his muscles lock up. He fell to the wooden porch, still conscious but unable to move. The Zaxians approached cautiously, speaking in their clicking language. One of them touched John with a prod, and seemed surprised when John's eyes tracked the movement. "This one is still aware," the scientist said. Increase the stun setting. Another blast hit John and darkness swallowed him. Meanwhile, across the galaxy at Confederation headquarters, Science Director Nath Pari was working late in her office. A small alert appeared on her screen. Unauthorized data being transmitted from a research vessel. Normally, she would have forwarded such a minor infraction to the compliance department, but something made her open the file. What she saw made her four-fingered hands tremble. "Computer, identify the source of this transmission," she commanded. Science. Vessel Stellar Gaze, currently in unregistered system G7294. Captain Vrelk commanding. Nath Pari's pale yellow skin darkened with stress as she examined the biological readings coming from the ship. "These can't be right," she whispered to herself. No species could evolve in such conditions. She quickly composed an emergency message, marked with the highest priority. To Captain Vrelk of the Stellar Gaze. You are ordered to immediately release any specimens taken from planet G72943 and withdraw from the system. Preliminary readings suggest you have encountered a Class R Deathworld species. Approach with extreme caution. Return to Confederation space at once. Further interaction with the indigenous population is strictly forbidden without full council approval. She sent the message, knowing it would take several hours to reach the distant ship. Then she contacted the Confederation Security Council. "We may have a serious situation," she told them. "Captain Vrelk of the Stellar Gaze has made unauthorized contact with what appears to be a previously unknown Deathworld species. Based on the biological readings, these beings evolved under gravity, pressure, and radiation conditions that should make complex life impossible by our understanding." The head of the Security Council, Elder Zorvan, looked alarmed. "Has he taken specimens?" "I believe so," Nath Pari replied. "I've ordered him to release them and withdraw, but I fear it may already be too late." On the Stellar Gaze, John and Samantha Miller were placed in separate holding cells designed for creatures half their strength. The Zaxians had no idea what they had just done. They had no idea that humans shaped by Earth's harsh conditions were far more resilient and resourceful than any species they had encountered before. They were about to learn why messing with Deathworlders is always a terrible idea. John Miller woke up with a pounding headache. His vision was blurry at first. He blinked several times until he could see clearly. He was in a small room with smooth, light blue walls. A clear barrier blocked one side of the room. The air smelled strange, like ozone and something sweet. He tried to sit up and was surprised when his restraints stretched easily. They seemed to be designed for a much weaker creature. John pulled hard, and the bands around his wrists snapped. "What the hell?" he muttered, looking at the broken restraints. Whoever had captured him clearly didn't understand human strength. On the other side of the ship, Samantha was already awake. As a mechanical engineer, she studied the cell with professional interest. The lock on her cell looked like it worked, on electrical pulses. It reminded her of circuit boards she had designed. She reached up and pulled a metal hairpin from her hair. Carefully, she bent it into a specific shape. When she pushed it into a small opening near the cell barrier, sparks flew. The barrier flickered and disappeared. "Basic electrical engineering," Samantha whispered to herself. "Some things must be universal." She stepped out of her cell and looked down the hallway. Strange symbols marked the walls. The corridor curved, gently, and the lighting came from strips along the floor and ceiling. Samantha moved quietly, listening for any sound that might tell her where she was or who had taken her. Meanwhile, John was exploring his own cell. He noticed a small vent near the floor. The screws holding it in place were loose, as if they weren't designed to hold against much force. John pulled at one and it came out easily. Within minutes, he had removed the vent cover and was looking at a passage just big enough for him to crawl through. Not the best security design, he said to himself, remembering his military training from years before. He squeezed into the vent and began to crawl. On the bridge of the Stellar Gaze, Captain Vrelk was reviewing the data from their human specimens. His four eyes widened as he read the measurements. "These can't be correct," he said to Science Officer Pelmac. "Check them again." "I've checked 3 times, Captain," Pelmac replied, his blue skin pale with worry. "The readings are accurate. These creatures have muscle density twice that of a Draxian dock worker. Their bone structure is incredibly strong. Their nervous system can transmit pain signals, yet they continue to function. And their adaptation to high radiation levels is remarkable. Captain Vrelk's skin flushed purple with excitement. Do you understand what this means? We've discovered a species that evolved on a death world and survived. The scientific value is beyond calculation. At that moment, an alarm sounded. A junior officer called from his station. Captain, we've lost containment in holding cell 2. The female specimen has escaped. Before Vrelk could respond, another alarm blared. The male specimen has also broken free. It removed the ventilation access point in its cell. Captain Vrelk's excitement turned to concern. How is that possible? The restraints should have held them. Just then, his communication officer spoke. Up. Captain, we're receiving a priority message from Confederation headquarters. It's marked highest urgency. Vrelk hesitated, torn between the crisis at hand and the message. Put it on screen, he finally ordered. As he read Science Director Nathpari's warning, his skin turned an ashen gray. Too late, he whispered. She's warning us about exactly what's happening now. He turned to his security chief. Find those specimens and recapture them. Use non-lethal methods only. They're too valuable to harm. In the ventilation system, John crawled through the narrow passages. The ship's air was different from Earth's. It had more oxygen, which made him feel strangely energetic. For the aliens, this air might be normal, but for a human, it was like a performance enhancer. He paused at a junction when he heard sounds below. Peering through a vent, he saw 2 of the blue-skinned aliens talking in a strange, clicking language. They held devices that looked like weapons. John watched as they moved out of sight, then continued crawling. After several minutes, he found himself looking into a larger maintenance area. To his surprise, Samantha was there, examining a panel of blinking lights. Sam, he whispered loudly. She looked up, relief flooding her face. John, thank God you're okay. She pointed to a larger vent opening near the floor. Can you get through there? John pushed the vent open and squeezed through, joining his wife in the maintenance room. They embraced quickly. Where are we? John asked, looking around at the alien technology. I think we're on a spaceship, Samantha said. I know it sounds crazy, but look at this. She pointed to a small window. Outside, they could see stars, but more shockingly, they could see Earth, blue and beautiful from orbit. My God, John breathed. We've been abducted by aliens. Actual aliens. Samantha nodded. And they're not very good at keeping humans contained. Their technology is advanced, but they didn't design it with our strength or intelligence in mind. We need to find a way to communicate with Earth, John said, or at least find a way back home. I've been studying their systems, Samantha replied. The design is logical, just different. I think this is a communications panel. She pointed to a section of the wall covered in blinking lights and strange symbols. John moved closer to examine it. Can you figure out how to use it? Maybe. Give me some time. While Samantha worked on the panel, John found what looked like a tool rack. He selected an object that resembled a wrench. Just in case we meet the owners, he said grimly. On the bridge, Captain Vrelk was getting increasingly desperate reports. Sir, the life support systems in Section 4 are being accessed. Security team reports the specimens are moving through. Maintenance Corridor B. Captain, the ship's atmosphere is affecting us. The oxygen levels are optimized for our biology, but in these creatures, it seems to be enhancing their already considerable physical abilities. Vrelk slammed his thin hand on the control panel. Lock down all critical systems, seal the bridge, and send a message to Confederation headquarters. Tell them... He paused, his pride battling with reality. Tell them we need immediate assistance, with a Class X Deathworld species encounter. His first officer, Tazaril, looked at him with a mixture of fear and accusation. This is why we have protocols, Captain. In the maintenance corridor, John and Samantha heard the ship's systems changing. Doors began closing automatically, and new alarms sounded. They know we're loose, John said. We need to move faster. Samantha pulled back from the panel she'd been working on. I think I figured something out. This ship has some kind of universal translator. If I can access it, maybe we can talk to them. Good idea, John replied. Because right now our options are pretty limited. We're on an alien spaceship orbiting Earth, with no way home and no way to let anyone know what's happening to us. Little did they know, their adventure was just beginning. The Zaxians were about to learn firsthand why taking humans from their death world was a terrible, terrible idea. Samantha worked quickly on the communication panel while John kept watch. Her fingers moved over the alien technology with growing confidence. These systems follow logical patterns, she said. Different symbols, but similar engineering principles. John peered down the corridor. How much longer? I think I hear something coming. As if answering his question, a soft chime came from the panel. A holographic display appeared, showing strange symbols that shifted and changed before their eyes. Think I activated their translation system, Samantha said excitedly. It's analyzing our language. The symbols continued to change until they formed English words. Language analysis complete. Translation active. Can we use this to talk to Earth? John asked. Samantha shook her head. Not yet. But now we can understand the ship's announcements and maybe communicate with the aliens. As if on cue, a voice came through the ship's speakers, now translated into English. Attention all crew. Human specimens have escaped containment. They are believed to be in the maintenance section. Approach with caution. Use non-lethal methods only. They called us specimens, John said with anger in his voice. Like we're lab rats. At least we know what they call us, Samantha replied. Humans. They know what we are. John gripped his makeshift weapon tighter. Let's find the engine room. On any ship, that's where the real power is, Samantha nodded. According to these schematics, it should be 2 levels down. They moved through the ship's corridors carefully, using the maintenance passages when possible. The alien vessel was designed for efficiency, but to human eyes it seemed strangely fragile. Door mechanisms broke easily under John's strength. Control panels sparked when Samantha rewired them. Meanwhile, Captain Vrelk received the message that the ship's translation system had been activated. They've accessed our communication systems? He asked in disbelief. Yes, Captain, reported the communications officer. The system is now set to translate into their language. Vrelk considered this new information. This could be useful. Open a ship-wide channel. When the channel opened, Vrelk spoke clearly. Attention human specimens. This is Captain Vrelk of the Zaxian science vessel Stellar Gaze. We apologize for the way you were brought aboard. It was not our intention to cause distress. Please return to your holding areas where we can discuss this situation properly. In a maintenance shaft, John and Samantha heard the message. Yeah, right, John muttered. Back to our cages so they can study us some more. Samantha was quiet for a moment, but now we know they can understand us. That gives us an advantage. They reached a junction that led to a larger corridor. Signs in alien script lined the walls. But now, thanks to the translation system, small English subtitles appeared beneath them. One read, Engine Control, Level 2. That's where we need to go, Samantha said, pointing at the sign. They moved toward an elevator-like device at the end of the corridor. Suddenly, a door opened, and 3 Zaxian crew members stepped out. They froze when they saw the humans. One of the aliens raised a device that looked like a weapon. John reacted instantly, throwing his wrench-like tool. It hit the alien's arm with unexpected force, causing the creature to drop its weapon and make a high-pitched sound of pain. The other 2 aliens backed away, their 4 eyes wide with fear. They were clearly not prepared for a direct confrontation with creatures from a high-gravity world. Stay back, John warned, picking up the fallen alien weapon. We don't want to hurt you, but we will defend ourselves. To his surprise, the translation system converted his words into the clicking language of the aliens. The Zaxians trembled visibly, their thin bodies seeming even more fragile up close. Let's go, John said to Samantha, gesturing toward the elevator. They backed into it, keeping the weapon pointed at the aliens until the doors closed. Inside the engine control room, Science Officer Pelmac was desperately trying to secure the ship's most critical systems. Warnings flashed across his screens. The humans were disrupting systems throughout the vessel, simply by interacting with technology not designed for their strength or electrical conductivity. "Captain," Pelmac reported, "the human bioelectrical field is interfering with our control systems. They appear to have a much stronger electrical signature than any Confederation species." On the bridge, Captain Vrelk was beginning to understand the full magnitude of his mistake. "Lock down the engine control room, seal all access points." But the warning came too late. The elevator doors opened and John and Samantha stepped into the engine control room. The three Zaxian engineers inside looked up in shock. "Nobody move," John said, holding the alien weapon. He had no idea how it worked, but the Zaxians didn't know that. Samantha moved quickly to the main control panel. "This must control the ship's power systems," she said, studying the displays. "I think I can figure out how to access their communication array from here." One of the Zaxian engineers, braver than the others, spoke in clicks and whistles that the translation system converted. "You cannot understand our technology. It is far beyond your capabilities." Samantha gave him a cold smile. "I have a doctorate in mechanical engineering from MIT. Try me." Her fingers moved over the controls with growing confidence. Screens changed, showing what appeared to be power distribution systems. "John, I think I can access Earth's satellite network through their communication system. We might be able to send a message home." Meanwhile, at NASA's Deep Space Monitoring facility in California, Dr. Alan Cortez stared at his screen in confusion. "This can't be right," he said to his colleague. "What is it?" asked Dr. Lisa Mendez, moving to look over his shoulder. "We're picking up a signal from Earth orbit, but it's not from any known satellite." Dr. Cortez adjusted his equipment. "And it's using— Wait, that's impossible." "What?" Dr. Mendez pressed. "It's using our own satellite network to amplify a message. The signal contains English text." He looked up at Dr. Mendez with wide eyes. "It says, 'This is John and Samantha Miller. We have been abducted by aliens currently in Earth orbit. Ship name Stellar Gaze. Need assistance.'" Back on the Stellar Gaze, Captain Vrelk received desperate news from engine control. "Captain, the humans have taken over engine control. They've accessed our communication array and are broadcasting to their planet." Vrelk slammed his fist on the console. "Shut down all communication systems immediately." "We can't, sir. They've locked us out." At that moment, a new message appeared on the bridge's main screen. It was from Confederation headquarters. "Captain Vrelk," the message from Science Director Nath Perry read, "Enforcer vessels have been dispatched to your location. You are ordered to take no further action regarding the Deathworld species. The Confederation First Contact Protocol has been initiated. Stand by for arrival of diplomatic team." Vrelk read the message with a growing sense of dread. His career was over. But more importantly, his actions had exposed the Confederation to a species they were clearly not prepared to handle. In engine control, John and Samantha were surprised when alarms suddenly stopped. The Zaxian engineers looked at their screens in confusion. "What's happening?" John asked. One of the engineers answered, "Confederation ships are coming. Diplomatic team." The alien looked at the humans with all four eyes. "You have changed everything. The Confederation has never faced a Deathworld species before." Samantha looked at John. "Does that mean they'll take us home?" "They better," John replied firmly, "or they'll learn even more about why messing with humans is a terrible idea." The news of aliens spread quickly on Earth. Within hours of NASA receiving John and Samantha's message, government officials from around the world gathered in emergency meetings. Military forces went on high alert. News channels showed the same. Headline: "Aliens confirmed. Humans abducted in orbit." At NASA headquarters, Dr. Alan Cortez and Dr. Lisa Mendez worked to maintain contact with the Millers. They set up a direct communication link through the satellite network. "John, Samantha, this is Dr. Cortez at NASA. We're receiving you. What's your status?" Alan asked, his voice tense but professional. Inside the engine control room of the Stellar Gaze, Samantha adjusted the communication settings. Dr. Cortez, we're okay for now. We've taken control of the engine room. The aliens call themselves Zaxians. They're part of something called the Galactic Confederation. Are you in danger? Lisa asked. Not at this moment, John replied. They seem afraid of us, actually. Apparently, Earth is classified as a death world because of our gravity, radiation, and atmospheric conditions. They weren't prepared for how strong humans are in their environment. On the bridge of the Stellar Gaze, Captain Vrelk watched helplessly as his ship's systems were increasingly controlled by the humans. His first officer, Tazril, approached with a data pad. Captain, we've detected 3 Confederation ships entering this system. They will arrive in approximately 6 hours. Vrelk's skin paled. What class? 2 science vessels and 1 Enforcer-class ship, Tazril replied. Vrelk knew what that meant. The Enforcers were the Confederation's peacekeeping force. They were coming to clean up his mess. Open a channel to the engine room, he ordered. When the channel was ready, he spoke clearly. Humans, this is Captain Vrelk. Confederation ships are coming. They will arrive in 6 hours. They can return you to your planet. Please do not damage any more ship systems before they arrive. In the engine room, John and Samantha heard the captain's message. Should we trust them? John asked. Samantha considered this. We don't have many options. We can't fly this ship ourselves, and we can't stay here forever. One of the Zaxian engineers, who had been quietly watching the humans, spoke up. The Abba Confederation follows strict rules. They will return you home. Why should we believe you? John demanded. You kidnapped us from our home. The engineer's 4 eyes blinked nervously. That was wrong. Captain Vrelk broke our laws. The Confederation will punish him. John wasn't satisfied. While we wait? For these ships to arrive, I want to see the rest of your vessel. You have other captives aboard, don't you? The Zaxian engineer looked surprised. How did you know? Your captain seems like the type who breaks rules regularly, Samantha said, and we saw other holding cells when we escaped. John pointed the alien weapon at the engineer. Take us to see the other prisoners. The engineer led them through the ship's corridors. Crew members quickly moved out of their way, their thin bodies pressing against the walls to avoid the humans. News of the Deathworlders' strength had spread throughout the vessel. They arrived at a detention level with multiple cells. Inside were various alien creatures, each different from the last. Some had tentacles, others multiple limbs. Some were covered in scales or fur. Open the cells, John ordered. The Zaxian hesitated. I cannot. Samantha stepped forward. Then, I'll do it myself. She moved to a control panel and began studying it. Within minutes, she had figured out the locking mechanism. The barriers to all cells disappeared at once. The captive aliens moved cautiously out of their cells, making various sounds of confusion and fear. One tall, orange-skinned being with 4 arms approached the humans. The translation system converted, its rumbling voice. You freed us. Why? Because keeping intelligent beings captive for study is wrong, John replied. The alien made a gesture that might have been a bow. I am Grell of Pyrov. I have been here for 3 cycles. The captain collects species across the galaxy against Confederation law. Meanwhile, on Earth, world leaders were in constant communication. The United States President addressed an emergency session of the United Nations. We face an unprecedented situation. We have confirmed contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. 2 American citizens are currently aboard an alien vessel in orbit. NASA maintains communication with them. The aliens report that diplomatic ships are approaching Earth. We must prepare a unified response. In deep space, the 3 Confederation ships approached Earth at high speed. On the lead ship, Science Director Nathpari briefed the diplomatic team. The situation is extremely delicate. Captain Vrelk violated numerous Confederation laws by taking specimens from an uncontacted death world. The humans have demonstrated remarkable adaptability and intelligence by taking control of key ship systems. One diplomat, a tall, silver-skinned, being named Zorath, asked, How dangerous are these Deathworlders? Nathpari displayed biological data on a screen. Their physical capabilities are impressive. High muscle density, efficient respiratory system, remarkable endurance. Their planet has 20 times the biodiversity of an average Confederation world, with thousands of predator species. These humans evolved as persistence hunters, capable of pursuing prey until it collapses from exhaustion. The diplomatic team looked concerned. Another diplomat asked, "And their technology level?" "Early space age. They have visited their moon, sent unmanned probes to nearby planets, and established a primitive satellite network. They have nuclear weapons and are divided into competing nation-states." Zorath's expression grew grim. "A Deathworld species with nuclear capabilities. This is exactly the scenario the Confederation has feared for centuries." Back on the Stellar, Gaze, John, and Samantha had gathered all the freed captives in the ship's main cargo bay. Grell, the four-armed alien, helped translate for species the ship's system couldn't understand. Many here were taken for their unique abilities or biology, Grell explained. The captain sells information to various research institutions, claiming the specimens died naturally. John felt his anger rising. That ends today. Samantha had connected a portable communication device to her belt. NASA's voice came through clearly. "John, Samantha, we're tracking 3 large objects approaching Earth orbit at incredible speed. They'll arrive in approximately 1 hour." "Those must be the Confederation ships," Samantha replied. Dr. Cortez's voice was tense. "The President is asking what our posture should be, defensive or welcoming." John thought for a moment. "Tell them to be cautious but not hostile. Based on what we've seen, the Confederation has rules against interfering with planets like Earth. The captain who took us broke those rules." In the Stellar Gaze's conference room, Samantha and John had set up a meeting place. Captain Vrelk sat across from them, his thin frame looking even more fragile under their stern gaze. "When the Confederation ships arrive," John said firmly, "we want all records of your illegal collections. We want assurances that Earth will be protected from further interference, and we want all captives returned to their homeworlds." Captain Vrelk knew he had no choice. His career was over, but he might avoid severe punishment if he cooperated now. "I will provide everything you ask." As they spoke, the ship's sensors detected the arrival of the Confederation vessels. 3 massive ships, dwarfing the Stellar Gaze, appeared in Earth orbit. A new communication signal came through. A dignified voice spoke in perfect translated English. "This is Science Director Nathpari of the Galactic Confederation. We extend peaceful greetings to the humans of Earth. We deeply regret the unauthorized actions of Captain Vrelk. We have come to correct this grave mistake." The moment of official first contact between humanity and the Galactic Confederation had arrived. 6 months had passed since the day John and Samantha Miller were taken from their cabin in Montana. 6 months since humanity learned they were not alone in the universe. The world had changed forever. John stood at the window of the new International Space Station, looking down at Earth. The station had been rebuilt with Confederation technology as part of the reparations agreement. It was now 10 times larger than before and served as humanity's official meeting place with alien representatives. "Still can't believe all this sometimes," he said as Samantha joined him at the window. "I know," she replied, squeezing his hand. "Who would have thought our vacation would end up like this?" After the Confederation ships arrived that day, everything happened quickly. Captain Vrelk was removed from command and taken into custody. Science Director Nathpari personally apologized to John and Samantha, and through them, to all of humanity. The Confederation Council had held emergency meetings for weeks. The discovery of a Deathworld species with nuclear capabilities was unprecedented. Some council members wanted to isolate Earth behind a quarantine barrier. Others saw potential in humanity's unique qualities. In the end, it was John and Samantha's actions that tipped the balance. Their choice to free the other captives and demand justice rather than revenge impressed many Confederation leaders. It showed humans could be both strong and merciful. "The Perovian ambassador wants to meet with us again," Samantha said, checking her communication device. Since the incident, Grell had become his planet's official representative to Earth. "He probably wants to thank us again for the engineering plans," John replied. The Millers had shared human technology with several Confederation species. Designs that seemed simple to humans were revolutionary to aliens from low-gravity worlds. A soft chime indicated someone was at their door. John opened it to find Science Director Nath Pari waiting. "Good day, John Miller, Samantha Miller," she said, bowing slightly. The tall, yellow-skinned alien had become a regular visitor to Earth. "The council session will begin in 30 minutes. Are you prepared to represent Earth's interests?" "As ready as we'll ever be," John said with a smile. They walked together, through the station's wide corridors. Humans and aliens worked side by side, each learning from the other. Earth scientists were particularly interested in Confederation medical technology, while alien engineers were fascinated by human construction methods designed to withstand Earth's harsh conditions. The meeting chamber was large and circular, with seats for representatives from 20 different worlds. As humanity's first contact with the Confederation, John and Samantha had been asked to serve as temporary ambassadors until Earth's nations could agree on permanent representatives. "The Council is ready to vote on Earth's membership status," Nath Pari explained as they took their seats. "It is unprecedented for a Deathworld species to join, but your case is strong." The head of the Council, Elder Zorath, called the meeting to order. His silver skin reflected the lights of the chamber. "We gather today to vote on the petition from Earth to join the Galactic Confederation," he announced. "Before we proceed, I wish to acknowledge that this case has forced us to confront our prejudices. For too long, we assumed that intelligent life from Deathworlds would be too aggressive or unpredictable for peaceful cooperation." He gestured toward John and Samantha. "The humans have proven otherwise. Despite being taken against their will, despite their physical advantages over many of us, they chose restraint and diplomacy. They demonstrated a moral understanding that matches our highest ideals." The vote was taken. One by one, the representatives signaled their approval. Earth would become the first Death World admitted to the Confederation. Later that day, John and Samantha returned to Montana. Their cabin remained unchanged, though now it contained some alien technology, gifts from grateful Confederation scientists. They often hosted visitors from space explaining human culture and customs. "I received a message from the military liaison," John said, as they sat on the porch, looking at the stars. "They've completed the joint training program with the Confederation Defense Force. Our soldiers demonstrated combat techniques that the aliens had never considered." Samantha smiled. "And I heard the engineering team has finished the new spacecraft design. Combining our materials science with their drive technology has created something completely new." Across the galaxy, the story of the humans spread quickly. The species from the Death World who could break restraints designed for much stronger beings. The creatures who thrived in gravity that would crush most Confederation species. The people who could heal from injuries that would kill others, who could survive temperature ranges that seemed impossible. On the Zaxian homeworld, former Captain Vrelk sat in a comfortable detention center. His punishment had been surprisingly light thanks to John and Samantha's testimony. They had argued that his mistake, while serious, had led to a positive outcome for both Earth and the Confederation. Vrelk was writing a book about his experience titled First Contact Failures, a cautionary tale. It had already become required reading at the Confederation Academy. In the Academy's main lecture hall, Science Director Nath Pari addressed a group of young officers. "The human case teaches us an important lesson about assumptions. We classified Earth as a death world because it seemed hostile to our biology. We never considered that such conditions might produce not monsters, but resourceful, adaptable beings." She displayed images of Earth, raging oceans, active volcanoes, dense forests, sprawling deserts. Humans evolved on a planet with 1.3 times our standard gravity. Their world experiences temperature variations that would kill most of us. They live with thousands of predator species and microscopic organisms that constantly try to invade their bodies. They eat food that would poison many Confederation species. Their history is filled with conflicts that forged their resilience. She changed the display to show human achievements, art, architecture, technology, medicine. Yet from these harsh conditions came not just physical strength, but creativity, determination, and compassion. The humans remind us that life adapts in wonderful and unexpected ways. They have already contributed valuable perspectives to our collective knowledge. The final image showed John and Samantha Miller standing with representatives from 20 worlds signing the Earth Membership Agreement. Remember this case in your future explorations, Nathpari concluded. It stands as the perfect example of why messing with Deathworlders is always a terrible idea, but also why making friends with them might be the best idea of all. Back on Earth, John and Samantha watched the sunset from their porch. A shooting star crossed the sky, though now they knew it might be a visiting ship rather than a meteor. "Do you ever regret it?" Samantha asked. "Being abducted, changing human history forever." John thought for a moment, then shook his head. "No, we were always meant to join the stars. We just needed a push." Samantha smiled. "Even if it came from aliens who had no idea what they were getting into." They laughed together as night fell over Montana, a small corner of the death world that had just changed the galaxy forever.